than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin, he considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. So how is it that Moses can be considering Christ's disapproval if Christ wasn't around for him to disapprove?
I don't know about the angel of Yahweh, but certainly we're looking at a high Christology in Hebrews, yeah.
So close.
But, yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right, let's go to the next question because we only got a few. He's so close, guys.
But I have no...
Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be crazy. We're watching a debate between David Wood and Alex O'Connor, and trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Things take a really interesting turn when GodLogic jumps in with a question about Hebrew that totally shifts the conversation. Stick around, because GodLogic's going to react to it and break down why that moment is so powerful. Let's get right into it.
Argued interesting points. Now, Alex O'Connor, he came from an angle when it came to whether or not Jesus pre-existed, and he used an argument that surprised me.
David's already talked about the angel of Yahweh. And there is the suggestion that the angel of Yahweh is Jesus. That doesn't seem to make much sense to me. For a start, if you turn to Hebrews chapter 1, the very first verse says, "In the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son." In these last days. If Jesus is the angel of the Lord, way back in Exodus, the story of the Exodus, why is it that Hebrews says he's only spoken to us through the Son in the last few days?
Now, there are a number of reasons why this caught me off guard. One is because the title of the debate is, "Did Jesus claim to be God?" And so you don't have Jesus directly speaking in Hebrews. And so I was surprised that Alex went to Hebrews, let alone Hebrews chapter 1, to argue that Jesus did not pre-exist. So I, immediately recognized this, and like Hebrews chapter 1 is one of my favorite chapters. It's really the last place you want to go to try to prove that Jesus is not God or that he did not pre-exist his human birth. Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, period, is the last place you want to go. And here's why.
We got a question from
Avery. All right.
Okay. All right, for sure. What's going on, guys? So this is a question for Alex, man. How you doing, man?
Hey,
you mentioned
GodLogic.
Yes, yes, sir. You mentioned in Hebrews 1 where God is speaking. Or God spoke to our through prophets. Now he speaks to us through his Son. And you're saying, where was Jesus then? Back then he should have been active. And so, regarding Hebrews, I just want to read you this and get your thoughts on this. Okay, it's Hebrews 11. Regarding Moses, it says, "By faith, Moses," and I'm going to just skip down to 25 and 26 for time, "choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin, he considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward." So how is it that Moses can be considering Christ's disapproval if Christ wasn't around for him to disapprove?
Yeah, that is a great question. So Christ there, he regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as greater value than the treasures of Egypt because he was looking ahead to his reward. Now, that's something which I think it's a good point. I mean, of course, I can offer a Christological interpretation of this, which sort of says that Christ is promised as the Redeemer of mankind, and we're looking at this in retro. Where's he gone? Oh, there you are. And we're looking, just dropped it and left. And I suppose we're looking at this in retrospect, and he regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ. Yeah, I do think that in this instance, Hebrews is probably presenting Jesus. I don't know about the angel of Yahweh, but certainly we're looking at a high Christology in Hebrews, yeah.
So close.
But, yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right, let's go to the next question because we only got a few. He's so close, guys.
But I have no, for what it's worth, I have no problem saying that Hebrews has a high Christology. That's kind of not an issue to me. But I think it is interesting to suggest that as a retort to the idea of the angel of Yahweh being Jesus, I think that is an excellent point. Yeah.
Great job, Avery. All right.
You see why? You do not want to go to Hebrews if you're trying to argue against the pre-existent, pre-incarnate Christ, which, thankfully, Alex was intellectually honest enough to concede and say, you know what, yeah, this does seem to show that Jesus did pre-exist, and it, is a good retort against my argument that Jesus is not the angel of the Lord. This is a good retort here. We got a concession out of Alex O'Connor with just one passage in Hebrews. That's Hebrews chapter 11. We're going to talk about Hebrews 1. I went to Hebrews chapter 11, and that showed it. There's so many gems in the book of Hebrews that shows how Christ pre-existed that I just couldn't imagine being a Unitarian or being someone who goes against the deity of Christ or his claims of being God, being Yahweh. I couldn't imagine. I would wish that Hebrews didn't exist. I would wish that the book of Hebrews was not in the Bible so that I can hold my point. I would not go here. So we got a concession from Alex, which is beautiful. It's amazing. And we see here, and for those of you guys who didn't understand the point, we have Moses back in the times of Egypt. The Bible says that he did not consider the pleasures of Egypt and the riches of Egypt to be anything. In fact, he rather suffered with the people of God during the Exodus because he feared the reproach of Christ. Now, you guys saw it. This means that Christ pre-existed, and it was in the presence of Moses. Moses was aware of Christ, was in his presence, and feared him, had a respect and a reverence for Christ before we get Christ being born of a human. Who was that? That's the angel of the Lord, the messenger of Yahweh. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, angel in the Hebrew is just malach. It just means messenger. So it doesn't tell you what type of being that messenger is. It could be a spirit creature, like a regular angel that we know of, or a human messenger, right? Or